Hey guys, what's up? This is False Bulls 123 and this is day 60 of our daily quarantine vlogging challenge. Oh my goodness. Almost messed that up. As you know, that's literally 2 fucking months, which is 2 fucking months too long. Emotionally, I guess, logistically, or from a world viewpoint, we gotta do what we gotta do. But, bitch, I go and stir crazy. Anyway, I also don't normally like to wear button-ups on my channel, mostly just because it is a bitch to get them out of my closet. But I actually had to mend this one yesterday, and so I was actually seeing if you could see the rip on camera. Also, a little bit of a fashion shoot, how you like it. Anyway, guys, I thought it would be absolutely fucking fun to do sort of another False Bulls Weeb Corner. I don't remember if I actually called my original Weeb Corner the Weeb Corner. That was when I was talking about Sad Panda games and the Idol Waifu Collection games. But this time, I just kind of wanted to mention 5 animes that I liked. And these aren't the best animes I've ever watched. These aren't absolute classic that you need to pop on your DVR, whatever the fuck it's called, right now. It's not top 5 anime that make you instantly subscribe to Crunchyroll because you don't want to view no more ads. These are just 5 animes where I'm just like, that's some good shit. And actually, it's 6 because I apparently can't follow a list, and I thought of one that I really wanted to mention. So, let's get into things. I'm not the biggest anime watcher. I like anime. I will watch anime, and I'm I enjoy the style and the themes, but I ain't got time for that. Do you know how much time you gotta spend watching all this anime to understand the anime meta? Bitch, I ain't Mother's Basement. I ain't got time for that. I can barely keep up with my own blog. I have 2 articles that I still haven't published this week, and I'm a little bitch about it. But let's get on to things. What type of anime do I like watching personally? What's my taste in anime? Personally, I'm not the biggest into ecchi. I like a few ecchi shows, or a few shows where maybe they make a little bit of ohage, or however the fuck you pronounce it. And I'm like, ooh, dat hot. But I ain't a lewd boy. When I'm going for the lewdness, I ain't watching stuff for entertainment, you understand. So it's if there's a lot of fan service and a bunch of titty la titty, I ain't sure if I'm ready for that committee, It's just yeah. On the other hand, stuff I really love are, I like moe shows. I don't like really bland moe shows, but it's I like how they're the slice of life comedies of anime, and I like that. I'm just here for big titty bitches being funny and doing shit, and I'm just get on it. I also have enjoyed a few fantasy, animes, but most of the time it just depends on the anime whether or not I'll like it. I've seen sort of thriller mystery style ones. I've seen these battle royale ones. But it's it just depends on really just if it's funny, if I liked it, if I like the characters. Because I'll watch a wide gambit, just like I'll watch a wide gambit of movies or read a wide gambit of books. So it depends on the show. Also, I said that I'm not always there for the titty with ecchi, but I do have one ecchi show on here, and I will discuss that a little when we get to it. Also, I'll discuss what that means if you aren't a weeb and you don't know Japanese genre terms. Because I love you, and I want you to succeed in life. Number 1, before this video gets too fucking long. Esplend. I don't know who made it, and I couldn't pronounce the name even if I tried. What is Esplend, Ryan? That sounds like something that is a joke. Esplend is basically what you would call a harem moe show, which sounds a bit weird, but let me explain. It follows this girl, whose name I cannot remember, and I might look up the name if I care enough, who basically has resting bitch face. She's very, very surly, and she looks she looks mean. She looks like she's gonna fuck shit up every day of the week. Also, she's obsessed with, foreign countries and, Europe and stuff. And also, like many other Japanese people apparently, has a crush on Colonel Sanders. They really like KFC for a reason that I do not understand. And so she goes along one day and she finds this maid cafe, basically. But instead of, your normal maids, in the French maid outfits, looking hot, they're all basically random harem stereotypes. And so all of them are a different sort of, harem trope. What are the harem tropes, Ryan? Well, those are what you call the deres. You have your tsundere, your kudere, You're like Oni-chan. Like, there's a lot of different ones. And if I was going to discuss harem anime, it would be a really great time to mention it. But basically, basically it's a character cafe where all of the different waitresses have one of these harem archetypes. So even though she's a pretty nice person, she just looks mean, she's given the sadomasochism type, basically. Or Citadel, I believe is the term. And so basically she just like, she doms them while they're like trying to order like a parfait, and it's like this little kink thing. And it's actually really interesting because there are quite a few other characters that like, play into these archetypes. The tsundere character is also actually really nice, but the best thing is that her love interest, who I'm not going to spoil, is a bigger tsundere than she is. And I'm just like, get that fucking shit. Also, a guy who's a tsundere, this is where it's at. You deconstruct those genres, honey. But there's also, I'm trying to remember like the other characters. They also have, let's see, a lolly character who's actually the oldest character in the group. She's just short and like, young looking. And I'm just like, okay, prioritize it. Like, not on the creepy side of lollies, because nobody likes that. And, there's a few other characters, and they basically just get into slice of life shenanigans while they do stuff. And actually, I just decided, there's gonna be 7 animes because I can fucking deal. And also just remember, like, the one that I actually wanted to, like, talk about in the first place. But pretty much, slice of life, comedy, harem tropes, and it's funny, and it's, like, deconstructing, and it's, like, the characters they play in the cafe, along with, like, their actual personalities. And so, there's a lot of fun that they do with the characters, with the tropes, and I really like how it's also set in a Japanese cafe, because I'm really interested in that sort of cuisine culture. And so I like Japanese food, I like Japanese cuisine, and so that sort of culture right there is a really fascinating part for me. So I like to see that cultural aspect of it as well. Coming up, number 2, Magi Magi Brilliant Park. And I'm going to explain anime badly, because that's the funnest part about watching anime. Kanye West tries his Kanye best to help Queen Latifah save the amusement park. That is really sadly an accurate description of it. Pretty much, you have this character whose name is literally a pun on Kanye West, and he's like, wow, I'm really good at being basically Adam Scott's character from Parks and Rec. Young kid who's good at managing money. Oh, wait. But, he's actually good at managing money. And so this real big titty, cool girl pulls a giant gun on him and tells him that they're going to take him to an amusement park, and he's like, geez, you could have just asked if I wanted to go to Six Flags. You didn't have to put a gun at me at gunpoint and, make me go. So it's whatever. And so he goes to this amusement park, and it's crap. It's everything's run down. There ain't nobody there. It totally sucks. It's like the beginning of Mannequin when nobody's there. And he's like, wow, this sucks. And he's like, oh, by the way, this is also secretly a fantasy land, and we're all inhabitants of a fantasy world. And we come here and we have this magic through people coming to our place and believing in us and shit. And the princess is going to die, so you have to help her. And she's like, wow, that's a lot to take in. My world is completely fucking just blown. What the fuck's happening? But I guess so. I guess we have to do this. And it's so great. It's hilarious. It's interesting. It's vibrant. It's just, if you want to have a feel-good, anime with, just funny shit happening, and, a few, and some, titty, watch Maggie Maggie Brilliant Park. It is good. It is something you need to watch, and yes. Moving on to something which isn't a comedy and doesn't involve big titty bitches. Oh, wait, this is anime. They all involve those. Number 3, ReZero, or ReZero, or how the fuck you pronounce it, because apparently that is a act of contrition in anime world. ReZero is a deconstructed isekai, how the fuck you pronounce it, fantasy, blah, blah, isekai fantasy anime, which basically follows this guy named Subaru, pretty sure that's his name, in living, this weird Groundhog's Day, world. So he's trying to, figure out what's going on in this world, trying to, understand these complicated, politics and, world building and structure. And he keeps dying, a lot. A lot. I believe, when I started watching it, he was on, his third, arc. So he dies a bunch. And I don't really feel like that's a spoiler, because that's pretty much the premise of the show. So, sorry if I'm spoiling. I ain't gonna tell you about any of the characters, but Basically, Subaru like gets here and it deconstructs a lot of the more power fantasy isekai animes, and I really enjoy it for its grimdark, like, world building. It's interesting world. For its grimdark atmosphere, it's interesting world building, and for like vibrant characters, especially since like these time loops and perhaps like time travel is an element of the show. It also has. I don't like the term trap. I do consider it a slur, and I think there's a lot of really great information about that, considering the use and the term. But basically, there is a cross-dressing trans character in the show and named Felix, and they're just great, and we love them. I don't know if I believe that in the light novels they are explicitly trans, but I don't believe it's mentioned in the show. But he's a really cool. Sorry, she's a really cool character. And basically, like, ReZero is just it's really dark, it's really edgy, but at the same time, it's just absolutely fantastic. There's these drama elements and these fantasy elements and this intrigue plot at the same time, and it's something you need to watch if you like Ikasai, but you're really done with all of like this sort of online bullshit, or like in another world of my smartphone. Yeah, that was pretty bad. So it's good. It's like it's definitely a great, I guess, example and send-up of the genre. Also, Ryan, I'm not a weeb. What's Ikasai? Ikasai is a genre of anime in which basically people go from our real world into a usually fantasy setting. Usually, so there is a joke that they usually get hit by trucks, and then it's like the next thing you know, it's like, hey, it's fantasy land. Wait till I get my harem of buxom bitches, because that's most like, harem animes. A lot of waifus, a lot of titty, and you're just like, okay, we get it, it's a power fantasy. But I'm going to get off Truxon and talk more about my only ecchi anime in this, video. So, number 4, Monster Girl Musume, which I think has several names, but that's the one I know. It is a harem anime. What is harem, Ryan? Well, see, a long time ago in anime land, people were just like, what if we got into rom-com shenanigans, but instead of a love triangle, because that's passé, we just have 6 random chicks all wanting a dick. And they're just like, that's a great idea. Horny teenage boys would watch the fuck out of that. And it turns out it's true. They really will. And so, essentially, harem animes usually involve some random protagonist-kun and a bunch of random girls who usually fit into a bunch of archetypes, which are known as harem archetypes. And that's where you get your tsundere, your kudere, your yandere even, and like a few other ones like that. A great video to explain that would probably be the Mother Basement's How to Survive Your Harem anime, because it really does a great job of deconstructing all of the harem tropes. So it's a very specific anime genre, but I think it definitely has, a lot of different interpretations and a lot of expressions of the trope. And it can go in a lot of different ways, because there's even, harem elements in ReZero, though he's pretty much only, simping for Amelia, even though Rem is best girl. Anyway, not talking about that. So Monster Girl Musume is basically all of these monster girls, like harpies and snake people who have a name, and mermaids. Those are real things that exist. And they mostly exist as hot chicks, because this is anime land. And so pretty much what happens is the protagonist Kun has to deal with all of these hot chicks, because he's essentially a, foster family for them. And so he just has a boarding house with a bevy of buxom babes. And shenanigans happens. Pretty much all the girls want to, jump on his dick, but he can't sleep with any of them because that's an ethical crime. And he's like, hey, you're hot, but I don't want to go to jail because it's literally illegal for me to take advantage of you. And they're just like, okay, but okay. And it's very funny, it's definitely a sex comedy. And so there's a lot of jokes between, all the different girls and, all of them living together. And it's actually played very well because they just actually really like this guy. And he's just like, please don't kill me or, get me arrested by that super hot, immigration agent, whose name I forgot, but she's pretty hot. They also have a spider character who's really into bondage. And I'm just like, if you're going for a sex comedy, that's how you fucking do it. I'm also pretty sure there's, some whatchamacallit. abridged like versions of it on YouTube, and you should watch them because they're pretty funny, and you kind of get a sense of like what the show's about. Pretty much just every episode he adds like another random monster girl to his house, and he can't sleep with any of them, and they all kind of want to stick, and that is the sex comedy, and that's how it works. Also, feel free to roast me in the comment for not accurately addressing some misogynistic issues that harem animes posit for, like, gender or whatever. Because I'm not going to. So you can. Have fun. Next up, do you want to cry like a little bitch baby? Do you? Because if you watch this next show, you will cry. Because I cried like a little bitch baby. What is it, Ryan? Stop fucking blueballing us. It is Death Parade, and coming up number 5. Death Parade is essentially this really interesting supernatural, I guess, fantasy or whatever anime that basically follows this purgatory afterlife situation where these arbiters essentially weigh the souls of those who have died. And this is usually, so basically you come down these elevators and people don't really usually realize they're dead, and they basically have to play games that show them what type of human being they are and whether they're going to oblivion or like rapture or like essentially your heaven-hell dichotomy. And so, interesting, like, it just has this really interesting, like, plot line and world building, which they don't get into enough, and it's really sad. It's just, I want to spend so much time, like, just learning everything about the world, but they only give you just, like, that little bit of a teaser, and I'm just like, bitches, I need more. I'm sorry, baby. But things that they do really well are just really great character-driven episodes. Really, really sad, like, twist near the end as you get into one of the characters' backstories and sort of the end of her arc. And then kind of like, the consummation of the season. And just really just visceral animation. There are just some great scenes where, like, these two, like, people that come down, like, because usually there's two souls that are being judged at once. And they basically have to, like, fight against each other. And the arbiters don't really tell them anything about the situation. And so you really just see their fear and their panic and all these different things really go across their mind as they're trying to survive, even though they're really already dead. And that is a little bit of a spoiler, and I'm sorry, but that's really just the premise of the show. So once you watch the first episode, it's not a spoiler anymore. I ain't going to get into it anymore. It's really good. It's sad as fuck, but it's also just an amazing anime that has a fascinating premise and world. And you should watch that, because I love you and I want you to have good things in your life. Next up, do you like rom-coms? Do you like reverse harems and possibly gender-fluid people? Then you should watch Ouran High School Host Club. I know, Ryan, you probably wasn't expecting me to, like, tout this because it's, like, super shoujo, but it is so fucking good. Like, Fruit Baskets? Fuck Fruit Baskets. Ouran High School Host Club. Also, I know a lot of people like Fruit Baskets, so please don't, like, roast me in the comments. But, like, I like it more than Fruit Baskets, okay? I'm just, like, fuck cat boys. Anyway, so I don't remember who animated it or did anything else, but I do know that it was written by Bisco Hatari, who also wrote Millennium Snow. This was her first novel series. I didn't like this novel series, so I don't know why I have this. I think it would belong to my mother. Anyway, Ouran High School Host Club basically follows the viewpoint of Haruhi, who is this... I don't really know. It's never explicitly mentioned in the anime, though a lot of people consider her to be, like, inexplicitly gender fluid or non-binary, but essentially she likes to wear male identifying clothing. And so she doesn't really care how people see her gender expression. She's pretty neutral about it, but she's very, for the majority of the anime, she presents as a male. And most people think she is a male. So even though she uses female pronouns, she also uses masculine pronouns in the host club. So let's actually talk about the plot and not about her gender identity. Basically, Haruhi walks into this music room one day, and she sees all these hot fucking boys. And she's like, oh, okay, like, this is happening. And they start flirting with her, and she gets a little flustered, and she breaks a super valuable vase. And they're just like, well, you're going to have to pay us back for that, so now you're literally our bitch. That's not, like, they call her lapdog, but it's like, a more expressive term would be their bitch. Like, that is really the role she's playing. And so she's acting as they go for it for a little bit until they realize that she's really good at flirting with chicks. And they're just like, never mind, like, fuck that shit. You're just going to be the newest, like, host in the host club. And she's like, okay, whatever, rom-com shenanigans. What is a host club, Ryan? I'm not from Japan. I'm not a weeb. I don't understand this cultural term. A host club, or a hostess club, depending on the gender, is essentially this sort of dating club, I guess the best way to describe it, that happens in Japan. Basically, you will go there, you'll say, hey, I want to talk to this person, they seem really cool, they got big tits or something, and they'll come, like, sit down, and they'll flirt with you, and they'll basically have this very mild, like, dating experience with, they basically, like, sit down for some company. They drink with you, maybe they do some dancing, sometimes they flash a titty, though not all the host clubs are like that. I don't know specifically myself because I've never been to one because I'm not Japanese or been to any place that has one of those, but that's essentially sort of the feeling for it. It's definitely different from what is called compensated dating, which is an entirely different, like, cultural thing. And it's literally just a place it's like a strip club, but they, like, sit down for tea and tell you that your jokes are funny. So, like, a weird, like, gone mild version of that. It's an interesting phenomenon. But basically, that's what them boys do. They get all these girls, and these girls, like, pay fat bucks to have them, like, flirt with her and tell her that she's the prettiest princess in the prettiest tower. And so that's what Haruhi does now. And basically, she's working to pay them back. At the same time, all of these boys, I feel like there's only 2 guys that, like, she really, like, that actually have a chance with her. But all of them, like, really like her, because she has a great no-nonsense personality, and they all like her for their own reasons. And so it kind of, like, follows these, like, rom-com shenanigans as, like, they all sort of, like, delve into each of the characters' like motivations for joining the club and their personalities and how they all, like, interact with each other and how Haruhi sort of, like, actually deals with these characters at the same time. Let's see. It does have some LGBT rep, though I can't say it is the best. So obviously, like, they do have a cross-dressing character. And I feel like a lot of times in anime, when they have, like, a cross-dressing character like Felix, or that one character from Esplend, or, like, Haruhi, or any of these, like, other characters, they don't always explicitly mention if the cross-dressing is simply a matter of gender expression, or if it's supposed to be an indicator that the character is trans, or, like, non-binary. And I really wish they could have that more explicit representation in anime, because I would love to see that. I would love to see, like, more LGBT rep in anime, and you don't really see it that much. Just like you don't really see black people in anime for some reason. And I don't get that, because, like, you can, like, it's possible for them to have different skin tones, but it's very whitewashed, even though race in anime is its own contrition fight thing, and I'm not getting into it. But pretty much, like, there is some LGBT rep. In one of the scenes, Haruhi is kidnapped by a bunch of theatrical radical lesbians. Not even joking, they're radical lesbians, the political term. And they just want her to, like, join in, like, this play. And they're like, okay. And it's just like, oh, wait. That raging lesbian is going to kiss Haruhi for, like, the premise of a play. And she's a terrible actress, so it's bad. And it's just like, it is the weirdest plot of Ouran High School Host Club. Because for some reason, like, it's called the Lobelia Academy, and it's, like, this all-girls school. And so, basically, they're worried that this, like, she's going to get whisked away and, like, turned by, like, this very, like, I don't want to say butch, but, like, they wear a lot of masculine clothing. They kind of, like, the dom of, like, the group. And so, therefore, like, it's, like, this girl is going to turn her and, like, make her a lesbian. And they're just like, oh, no, don't do that. Even though she's not, like, that explicitly, like, interested in her advances. And it's also weird because this Lobelia one, you'd think she's very feminist, like, since she's a radical lesbian, and that's anyway. But it's like, at the same time, she insists that he dresses very femme. And I just think that's a weird point, though. It's like, if she's really, like, that much of a feminist, shouldn't she, like, appreciate or at least be tolerant of Haruhi's, like, gender expression? I don't know. But it's a really good anime. It has some weird moments, but I think it's great. Like, as harem animes go, it's hilarious. And it's fantastic. Just watch the fucking thing, and I don't know how to describe it, because it's good. And number 7, this is going to be my last anime because this went on for way too long already. And that is Kiss Him, Not Me. What's this about, Ryan? That looks zesty. Basically, it is about a girl who's a doujinshi. What does that mean, Ryan? I'm not a fucking weeb, once again. A doujinshi is basically usually a woman that is really into boy love or yaoi. And what that means is that it's basically a girl that really, really likes gay porn. That's what you can describe it. Basically, the term yaoi and yuri are both, I guess, like homoerotic literature, like, anime or manga, and generally they're enjoyed by people of the opposite gender. There is a bit of an issue a lot of times because some people feel that doujinshi culture can be definitely fetishizing, and I definitely think there is some argument for that. But some people, just like to see guys kiss, and I'm just like, okay, honey, you do you. I ain't here to, kink shame. And so basically, that is the culture she's into. Her biggest thing is that she's watching, this fantasy series where, there's a little bit of, queer baiting in it, and she is fucking living for it. She has all the ships, she has all the fan art, she will die for her shits on this bloody waifu war battleground. And that is what she does for her life. Also, she's really fat. And that's kind of interesting because you don't see that many fat characters in anime. But, they're real thin, okay? And so she's fat. And then the guy dies, and she's like, my ship will never sail. What am I going to do with all of this fan fiction? And so she lies in bed, like Jesus, 7 days. She don't move. And then she gets up, and guess what? She fucking hot. She, for all of that grief, just, stripped away just this puddle of fat. And she is like, oh, boys, I'm sorry, did you see all this titty? And she's like, okay, that's something new. This is an anime. You can just drop 120 pounds in a week, and that's completely healthy and not a strain on the body. But okay. Maybe it was longer than a week, but, they didn't really specify the time, the amount of time that well. But basically, she was just so, heartbroken over this boy dying and her ship's not sailing. She got skinny. And pretty much she goes to school the next day, and everyone's just like, oh my fucking goodness, who's that hot bitch that just walked in? And they're just like, that's just the fat chick who draws all that gay smut. And they're like, wow, gotta bring me a piece of that Kit Kat bar. And so she gets herself a friggin' harem. But see, the best part about it is that she's a doujinshi. So she doesn't fucking care about the boys, trying to get at that. She's just like, hey. Because then, oh, hey, little mama, let me whisper in your ear. And it's just it'd be, totally cool if, you two made out. And they don't, because, they're straight and they're trying to get at that. But she's just like, oh, dang it. And so pretty much, the reason she isn't getting dicked down is that she's too busy trying to ship all of her male hanger-ons. And I'm like, this is a fun rom-com shenanigan we can get with. Because it's silly, because she obviously likes dudes, but it's she ain't getting with none of these dudes because she's too busy shipping. Also, finally some good frickin' LGBT rep. One of her harem, one of her suitors, is actually a chick. They go to this Comic-Con or something, and she meets this random androgynous person in a tuxedo, and she's like, that's probably a dude, they probably have a penis, they're really nice. And then she finds out that not only does they not have a penis, but they're actually a mangaka, or a manga writer who's in one of her favorite circles, which is a group of, manga writers. And so she's like, oh my goodness, you write the best shit. I love that thing where you have, the bondage and the tentacles and, the carrots. And I'm just, your biggest fan. And she's like, hey, boo. Also, I'm a raging lesbian, and can I get a piece of that Kit Kat bar? And so they actually, just have... And everyone's just, super chill with, her, being a girl and also trying to get at that. And that's really nice because at the same time, the main character, she doesn't really have much of an issue that, she has, a lesbian friend that also wants to sleep with her. She isn't, ready to, accept those advances, but it ain't an issue. And I'm just like, that's fucking wholesome. And it's just, it is absolutely fantastic because at the end of the season, this is a little minor spoiler, is that she finally goes on a date with all of them. And she's just like, because she has to pick one, right? This is a harem anime. You gotta pick one. But they never do. They never pick one because then they wouldn't have a show. And so it's she goes on them and she's just like, I'm sorry, boys, but it turns out I don't want to get with all of you. I'm too busy shipping. Ciao. Also, like, let's keep this friend group, because even though you all kind of want to sleep with me, I really respect, like, the mutual friendship we have between each other, and I enjoy, like, the relationships I have with you that are non-sexual. But, like, bye. And it's just, oh, it was so good. It was funny. It was hilarious. And it was good. And it was, like, probably one of the better reverse harems I've ever watched, just because there was good reasons why she wouldn't sleep with any of them. Well, good reasons might be a stretch, but it was just rom-com shenanigans. I fucking loved it. Oh my goodness. So you can probably tell from my, like, 1,000-watt smile and the fact that I never shut up that I really like these animes. And I did. I definitely would recommend you watching them. If you want to, you don't have to, but that would be cool. And yeah. Let me know down below, like, if you like these animes, if you've seen any of them, and give me your own anime suggestions. I'm still trying to watch Neon Genesis Evangelion. I just haven't really had a chance lately, just because I've been busy, but it's definitely the anime that I'm watching. Then I'm probably going to finish Kill la Kill, because, like, some shit was going down when I stopped watching that. Yeah, so tell me your favorite animes, tell me I'm a fucking weeb for, like, liking any of these, and yeah, all that. Always, you can help me grow my channel. I'm just slipping in the outro right now. Like, comment, subscribe. I know everyone says that, but it really does help. And feel free to share this. Like, if you got a friend out there who's a fucking weeb and they want to weeb together over weeb shit, bitch, you need to share this. Why do you not love your friend enough to let them look at weeb shit? That's mean, and you shouldn't be mean to your friends. But anyway, guys, like I said, I had a great time. I like talking about anime. It's kind of one of my, like, things I'm into. So, yeah. I'm just going to shut up now. This is False Bulls 1, 2, 3, and I'm signing off.